Howdy folks, and welcome back to Making a Psyduck of Every Type, the show where we look into the hypothetical multiverse and pull out a bunch of random Psyducks as if they were designed under different pretenses, if that makes sense. Last episode we looked into designing regional variants of Psyduck. We made a grass type, a fire type, and a water type Psyduck, so if you want to watch that episode, just check out the one before this one. And on this episode, we're making convergent forms of Psyduck. Now for those who don't know, convergent evolution is a real thing that—
Ooh, convergent evolution? Why, I can explain that in the new issue of...
Sorcery's Bears are wild!
Oi! I'm the one who talks about evolution here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oopsies.
That's what I thought. Talk to you later, buddy. So anyway, as I was saying. Now, for those who don't know, the whole point of evolution is the idea of animals gaining traits to survive better in a climate. Best way I can describe it is, imagine a scenario a couple thousand years ago where all rabbits were really slow. And whenever predators would come and eat them, obviously since they were slow, predators would always eat the rabbits. Except for the select few what actually managed to outrun the predator. And since they managed to outrun them, they managed to, reproduce and mate, and their offspring would also be, slightly quicker. And that would repeat itself until eventually rabbits would get faster and faster and faster until they're really quick to get. You ever Play-Doh starve? Those bugs are impossible to catch. Now obviously, rabbits aren't the only animals that are fast. Hares are fast, and rabbits and hares are likely related, so that's to be assumed, right? But also, dogs are fast, and deer are fast, humans are fast. Yet we're not necessarily that closely related to rabbits. That's the whole idea of convergent evolution, the idea of animals evolving similar traits, but sometimes for different reasoning. The same way a tiger is fast probably isn't the same reason a rabbit is fast. A rabbit was fast because it evolved to survive. The tiger is very quick because it evolved to hunt instead. Both animals are very fast, but that doesn't mean they're both related by that. They both share very different ancestors. And that's the whole point of convergent evolution, just explained by an idiot who has no idea what actual convergent evolution is. But either way, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet introduced convergent forms, or I think false regionals people were calling them. These are, similar to what I explained, Pokemon that look really similar to other Pokemon like Wiglet and Diglett. However, they're very different and they're not meant to be the same species. So today, we're going to make 3 Psyducks what look like they're related to Psyduck, but they're not. Okay, I've rambled on too long. Let's start with the first one. Let's draw a platypus. Now, when I knew I wanted to make, convergent Psyducks, the first idea I had was for a platypus, because, a platypus is a real-life example of convergent evolution. The platypus has a beaver tail and a duck bill, yet it's very obviously not related to either of those species. It's, the only reason it has both things is because of convergent evolution. It evolved those things for different reasons than the duck and beaver do, It's actually quite cool. I'm pretty sure platypuses use their bills to, detect very sensitive electric waves in the water. It's something like that. It's really cool. But either way, so obviously after seeing that platypus is, convergent evolution with real-life ducks, I thought it'd be cool to do a, platypus Psyduck. I also wanted to combine some features of Bidoof. Bidoof also being a beaver Pokemon. I thought it'd be interesting to, make it more like a Pokemon what evolved similar traits to not just Psyduck, but also Bidoof, which is why I gave it this weird little nub tail instead of the actual beaver tail, because that's the tail Bidoof has. Is it Bidoof or Bidoof? Who knows? Who cares? I do. I care. But either way, yeah, platypuses are really weird. Other fun fact, they're poisonous. They're actually poisonous. Not poisonous, venomous. The difference being, poisonous is if it's like a fruit and you're the one who has to make contact with it, and venomous is if they're the ones making contact with you. So, a snake is venomous because it bites you. A poisonous fruit would be poisonous because you would have to be the one biting it. I'm very knowledgeable today. But yeah, male platypuses are actually venomous. They have a weird little stinger thumb, which is crazy. So I thought it'd be fun to, add poisonous into, this one. So, I don't want it to just be like a normal type or like just a water type. Let's get crazy with this. It's Pokemon after all. And even though these aren't literally meant to be Psyduck, so much as Pokemon what looks similar to Psyduck, I still wanted to try and encapsulate some aspects of what makes a Psyduck. So, last episode I specified that a really important aspect of Psyduck is his, crazy headache. So each design I was making for these different Psyducks, I was trying to give different reasons for giving them headaches, And I wanted to do the same here, the same way that platypuses have, poisonous barbs in their hands. I like the idea that, these are poisonous jabby hands. But, since it holds its head similar to a Psyduck, it poisons its own head, which gives it a poisonous headache. Like, I like the idea that, it's got like these poisonous marks on its head from where it holds its head. I like the idea that it scratches its head and it accidentally poisons itself, so it holds its head in pain, but that just poisons its head even more. So it's got poisonous headaches. And again, I like the idea that it will probably just be a water poison type. A big thing about Psyducks is, I kind of like the idea that it acts like it should be a psychic type, but it's not actually a psychic type. It's just a water poison. Or maybe just a pure poison. Who knows? I wanted to experiment a little bit with this design, and with the next one, where they clearly look like they've evolved to be similar to Psyduck, but they also look very different to Psyduck, And it was weird drawing it, because obviously I've got a very unique style which doesn't translate well to drawing like official Pokemon designs. Last episode, I struggled redrawing, getting that Psyduck body shape down. So drawing a kind of Psyduck but unique body shape and trying to make it still look like it could be an official design, it was kind of difficult for me. It was out of my comfort zone, but you'll have to let me know if it kind of worked out or not. I'm really happy with how this guy turned out. I think he's adorable. I like his colours. I just like him. I think it's cute. And I know my style is nothing near official. I don't want to go for that or anything. That's not really my thing. But I do like the idea that if this was redrawn in like an official or close enough style, I feel like the design is there to, like the design itself could be official, you know what I mean? Which I'm proud of. You'll have to let me know what you think, because obviously I'm just one guy, so, But either way, folks, this is Platypus, spelt like that, because the PSY in Psyduck, Platypus. Yay! Now, this is arguably the normalist design in this video, because Convergent forms, they go a bit weird. I say that, we only have 4 in the series so far, and that's the Toadstool line and the Wiglet line, but look at them, they're a bit weird. And I guess that mostly comes from the idea of trying to make a Pokemon that looks exactly like another Pokemon, but whilst also being different, How do you make a Pokemon look like Tentacool without it being anything like a tentacle? It's bound to be a bit weird. So, let's do that. Let's take an animal what looks nothing like a duck or a Psyduck and make it look like a Psyduck. Here we have the Geoduck, which is spelt like it's Geoduck. So, I might have to do a Geodude Psyduck form at some point called Geoduck. But for now, this is a clam what obviously looks nothing like a duck. Until today! Now the reason it's called Geoduck is nothing to do with the fact that it's gooey or a duck. I believe it comes from, like an old-fashioned word for something like dig deep or something. But that hasn't stopped me from trying to make a gooey Psyduck, because I wanted to have fun with this, like Wiglet and Toadstool, why is a mushroom standing on its hind legs? Why is a Wiglet a Wiglet? They're not meant to necessarily be entirely realistic or based on entirely real things. They just seem to be, a bit of fun. Like, I know Wiglet and Toadstool are inspired by real life things, but they didn't need to literally look like... You can't convince me that Toadstool is meant to, has a reason for looking like that other than being a walking tentacle, you know what I mean? These are just a bit of fun. Not every design needs 50 reasons for each, you don't need to know why this is coloured yellow because it's based on the colour of the sun when ducks were first discovered or something, you know what I mean? It's just a bit of fun. Come on, get off me, come on, So with that said, yeah, this is meant to be really weird, only vaguely looks like a Psyduck. If Platypus is more closely resembling, a Psyduck by Convergent evolution, this is more like a Convergent coincidence, let's say. The same reason it's a coincidence that it's called the Gooey Duck despite not being a duck. It's a coincidence that this looks so much like a Psyduck, I imagine. It was fun trying to take the design concepts of a Psyduck and recontextualize them as a literal clam. So instead of it literally having arms that hold its head, it just has these weird, tentacle things on the side of its head, what just vaguely resemble, Psyduck arms holding its head up. You know what I mean? They're actually its feelers, I guess, right? Or maybe even they're its actual mouths, like they open up at the end to like eat things at the bottom of the ocean or something. Yeah. And I like the idea that, like its hair is not real hair, it's growing out of its head. Again, just as like a little extra feelers or something, like it can feel the temperature of the air around it so it knows when to dig or not or something. Like imagine these hang out at beaches and dig underneath the wet sand where it's safe, so they use those feelers to feel like, they can feel the air density so they know when a wave's about to come in or something, like they can feel the pressure or something like that, I don't know. And again, I like the idea that, the beak isn't a separate entity, it's literally just more of its face just growing out, So again, maybe it's not literally a beak or even its mouth, it's more of just the end of its face or something. And again, the tail isn't so much a tail so much as it is literally the end of the, you know, the body. Could you call it a body? Sure, it's a body. And instead of the Psyduck webbed feet on the side of its body, it's actually into the design of its clam. You know, they're like Psyduck feet. I thought that's kind of cute. And because of its weird little tendril things on the side of its head, I thought it looked a lot like a dog, so I drew a little tongue just to make it look a little bit extra weird, but at the end I decided to remove it because, yeah, there's a limit. I also added a hinge because I kind of like the idea that the clam is kind of backwards, because again, Psyducks are meant to be a little bit silly, so maybe the whole idea is, because you know, the gooey duck keeps leaning against the back of the clam, but it's the open side of the clam, so it keeps falling backwards out of it. I thought that'd be a cute little animation thing, if you could imagine that. But either way, folks, this is a Geoduck, like gooey duck, but spelt with a PS for the Psyduck, you know, so Geoduck or Suiduck. I'm up for it. If you guys got a better name, feel free to ask. Ask? Sure. No, feel free to comment a better name if you think you have one. But yeah, I like this guy for no other reason than he's exactly what I set out to do. I wanted to make a really weird gooey duck Psyduck, and I feel like that's exactly what this is. I also like the idea of maybe it actually moves on its side, you know, not actually just stand up, which kind of gives the idea that its hair on top of its head might actually be like a sideways, you know, like a mustache actually at the bottom of its face, you know? I kind of thought that was cute. But either way, I imagine this guy would rather be a pure water type or a water ground type, because it hangs around beaches and digs underground or something. Now, these first two designs look like they've convergently evolved with Psyduck. They've evolved similar traits, what make them look like Psyducks, despite not actually being Psyducks. But in Pokemon, the Convergent evolution forms specifically look exactly like their counterparts. Toadstool, silhouetted, looks exactly like a Tentacool, whilst these two, silhouetted, they don't exactly look much like a Psyduck now, do they? So, let's make just that, a design that, although it looks nothing like a Psyduck, shares the exact same silhouette. Now, this design also stemmed from the idea that I was kind of thinking, what would a bug-type Psyduck be? If I'm going to make a Psyduck of every single type, how on earth am I going to make a bug-type Psyduck? And luckily, Convergent Evolution gives me a good opportunity for that, because I can just make a Pokemon what is a bug type just look like a Psyduck. And when brainstorming ideas, I thought back to one of my previous episodes where I made custom Pikmin. Check that out if you like Pikmin, by the way, it's really good, I personally think. Where my good science friend Saziri explained to me the zombie ant fungus. A fungus that takes over the ant's brain and brainwashes it and then grows out of its head. So I came up with the idea of maybe having a fungus, what looks like a Psyduck head, implant itself onto a host, what looks like a Psyduck body, creating a symbiotic mon, what is basically two Pokemon in one, what's actually a paralysed host with the Parasite on top. And I like the idea of, you know, including imagery of the zombie ant fungus by literally having the Parasite on top and be an ant's head, which is, you know, what the fungus takes over, and have the little white stalk growing out of, which is what the fungus itself actually is. And I was proud of the idea of making Psyduck's bill as a basis to make mandibles out of. I feel like that works quite well. And so whilst designing the host, I kind of realised, you know, what Pokemon looks similar to a Psyduck's body, and my first thought was Poliwhirl. So I kind of like the idea of this actually being a Convergent evolution, not just with Psyduck, but also maybe being a close relative of, you know, Poliwhirl. It's got some similar features, like, you know, the body shape, the kind of glove hands, but, you know, it's not really there yet, and having its feet kind of be the middle way of Psyduck's free-toed webbed feet and Poliwhirl's one nubbed feet, you know. Only difference here is, instead of including the hypnosis imagery on its belly like a Poliwhirl, it has it in its eyes because it's a paralysed host. So again, I kind of like the lore implications of this might be rather a convergent form of Poliwhirl as well, in the sense of, you know, it's evolved similar traits to be kind of frog-like, or it is just a distant relative of Poliwhirl itself being taken over by this zombie ant fungus thing. You know, like, these designs are meant to be hypothetical, you know, for official Pokemon games. I like the idea that this could be, you know, in this game when you find this Convergent Psyduck, you could also find a regional form of Poliwhirl, what is basically the, you know, unparasited version of it. You know, I think like that'd be kind of cool. It was actually quite weird because, I've mentioned a few past of these videos, but I have actually pre-drawn a lot of these designs like a few months ago. This design I actually drew literally 2 days ago at the time of recording this. 1 day ago, I think, actually. But either way, so if this one looks a lot better than the previous two, that's why it's literally been like 5 months since I've drawn the previous two designs, and yeah, I think it shows in the artwork and the colour and the lining, and I'm really proud of this one. It was one of those designs that I was just really giddy when I finished, because I was like, oh my god, I drew something what actually looks kind of cool. You'll have to let me know if you agree with me on that or not, which is totally fine if you don't, by the way, you know. I will cry, don't get me wrong, but you know, you're allowed to have an opinion. But either way, folks, this is the bug-type Psyduck Convergent Parasite. I like the name. I'm really proud of this one, and I'm actually really proud of all three of them. You know, Parasite, Geoduck, and just a completely normal Platypus. Perry the Platypus! I don't know what that was about. But either way, folks, they were 3 Convergent Psyduck evolutions. You'll have to let me know what you think about them. I'm really proud of all of them. And on our list of typing, we've now knocked out Poison and Bug. That's only the types, because we've already did Water and Ground last episode, so oopsies, I guess. You know, I'm sure we'll cover all types eventually anyway, so it doesn't matter. But either way, folks, I hope you liked them. You'll have to let me know what you think. If you like them or you don't, tell me. And next episode, I believe I'm going to tackle paradox forms. Now, I've not I told you that I pre-drew a lot of these, but I've not actually made any paradox forms at the time of this, so the episode probably won't be next week. It might take a little bit longer to make, but, you know, look forward to that. I believe I'm going to start with past paradox forms of Psyduck, so look forward to that. Or don't. I do have some pretty fun ideas for the future and past, so yeah, look forward to that, or don't. You're allowed to do what you want. You have free will for a reason. Live it. But either way, folks, I'll see you all. I keep messing up my outro. It's enjoy the rest of your day, folks, or if you're off to bed, have the sweetest of dreams, and I'll see you all in a bit. Toodaloo.